I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News, the headlines. Constitutional Court dismissed application of stay of execution by 8 PF exiled MPs. Government cautions unemployed teachers to stop salivating for salaries. Fuel and electricity tariffs increment to undermine Zambia's economic growth. And in international news, Mali opposition rejects calls for election delay. And in sports, Winter Olympics marred with boycotts, COVID-19 as countdown begins. Join me with the details after this commercial.
Tell your mother, Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Christmas. To all our Camnet TV viewers, you have been a blessing. The Healing Word Ministries International, the church that my wife and I pastor, you are just phenomenal. May the Lord bless you in 2022.
For the Lord to allow us to enter into 2022 by His special grace, we can only say, Lord, we thank you for your mercies and grace. We've gone through a lot of things in 2021, but God has given us a fresh start, a brand new day. We are entering it with the right footing and putting God ahead of us, knowing that it's by His mercies and grace. We know that we cannot do it without Him. Personally, my husband and I, we cannot do anything without the Lord. We refuse to take Him for granted or think we are any more special than all of you people. May God bless you, Camnet TV viewers. You are just the best. God bless you, world. God bless you, Healing Word Ministries. We love you. And keep watching Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel.
You were born
for greatness.
And other main news in detail. A family of Kabangwe area in Chibombo district is living in fear of being chased from their own land after alleged political cadres in the company of the area village headman began allocating the land to unsuspecting members of the public. In an interview, Faustina Tembo says the family land, which is 10.5 acres, was acquired in 2012 and is on the legitimate title. A check by Camnet News at the said land revealed graded maize field as the family explained that the group began grading their land and illegally allocating it to unsuspecting members of the public on the 29th of December 2021.
This family of Kabangwe area in Chibombo district said they're living in fear as their land, which is 10.5 hectares in size, is being allocated to other people before their own eyes. The family has alleged that they are being terrorized by political party cadres belonging to the previous regime who have been grabbing land from citizens around the same area and have continued to do so even in the new regime while acting in the company of a named village headman around the same area. Family representative Ms. Faustina Tembo narrates that the said group has been allocating pieces of land to unsuspecting members of the public despite it being on title. A check by Camnet News also reviewed posters indicating that the land was on sale.
Pa 28 pa chitatu kubona kuti chigreta changena so chinangena chigreta chija kanthawi kang'ono vachokamo vaenda pa chinayi linachoma pa Friday futi vanabwera ndiye pamene vanasevenza mpaka 18 hours vanasegula malodi mpaka mumunda milisi zonse vanafukulula vanapanga rodi so aya tavutika muno mumunzi ndipo tavutika.
Ms. Tembo asked that their maize fields have also been graded, stating that they are yet to see action as no action has been taken despite reporting to the police in the area in December 2021.
Malandi amene nasegulira marodi na kuyamba kugulisa apimira vantu so ma 50 by 50 venangwa mabwera na mamotoka chabe sivakambe viri bonse valaunda chabe farm so ndiye viri kuno so tipembata ndizo.
When contacted, Nswana village headman Mr. Moffat Perry declined to comment on the phone, stating that he was out of town.
Today, Madam, I'm not in Saga. I'm not living in my village. I'm going to communicate somewhere there.
In a phone interview, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Mr. Elijah Muchima has advised aggrieved parties to pursue the case with the courts of law.
We have to say no cadreism. If it was happening in the previous government, not with this government. Any car that tries to distribute land illegally will be arrested. That I've put it very clearly. And this government is not entertaining that.
Meanwhile, Camnet News has reached out to Kabangwe Police through the Zambia Police Public Relations Office to get more information on the matter.
We, as police, we have received the report, but we are critically studying the matter in the sense that it's not a straightforward issue. We have two parties, three parties involved. The other two parties took each other to court, and then they had a consent judgment entered in their favor. So after they had the consent judgment, now this was after the consent judgment, when they started implementing the consent judgment on the ground, they went and they encroached on somebody's land, whom they claim that they were given a consent judgment, but again, that person also has got title to that land.
Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
In other news, traders at Buseko and BH markets in Lusaka have bemoaned poor sanitation in these trading places, alleging that the local authority have been lagging in collecting waste despite them collecting levies. A check by Camnet News around some markets in Lusaka revealed piles of uncollected waste in water pools, with traders expressing health concerns. However, Lusaka Town Clerk Mr. Alex Mwansa says the situation has been brought about by a high generation of waste at these markets, stating that the council will revisit its shifts of collecting the waste.
Extra hygiene and sanitation is encouraged in places like markets, as food items are sold here, among other commodities. A check by Camnet News at BH and Buseko markets in Lusaka, however, has revealed that this is not the case, as many markets are a recipe for waterborne diseases. Traders have expressed concern for their health, especially with the ongoing rain season, which they say further increases the risk. The traders have accused the local authorities of not collecting the waste, despite them paying levies.
But wakanso mevatenga ndrama mu Buseko market sivatikilini lako tilibema bini yokutingaikemo vintu and then mulidoti. I complaints ti complaina every day kuli bagali nkombo bamevanga titandize kupushing since chino ncha government na wevafuni ko pushing ilako kozi ndrama ku council zienda stivuta kuma levies yali yonse pano pa Buseko.
Wakanso fa konze kupyanga musongo tima lipira every day apitama but sivapianga
lomba kilini mu market umuntu wene wisa nefu bantu nga batwisa na market sakuleko tukaya muno mune market mutubishira abantu tulolomba ko pe buteko tubapose kwa manu pe papiko
na mene tuka cleaning ngati wasa cleaning ni siku kolera siringa kwele the problem amene tulinayo.
They state that due to this, many are choosing to throw the waste outside the market.
Soto tiose ya paka mwaona bonse mandi wakapyanga batairapo kufuka kashala katikati kangono wakapyanga bayola balinda kutaya sembe chishala chinasira chose paoneka clean so ise titandaula pakuti batitandisireko batione onani matenda ni ambiri olokolera soya yamba patinga dwale anytime tidwala kole.
However, Lusaka Town Clerk Mr. Alex Mwansa has denied the allegations, stating that the council collects the waste, adding that they are, however, challenged by overgeneration of waste from these markets.
Especially the DH market, there's a lot of activity there. So, but what we've noticed is that maybe once per day is not adequate. So we are planning to assign a shift in the afternoon. So we'll have one shift in the morning and another shift in the afternoon.
If not closely monitored, the situation in many markets could be a ticking time bomb for various health hazards. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has warned teachers pending recruitments to stop focusing on salaries but focus on offering a service even without the resources. Minister of Education Douglas Siakalima says teachers who will be recruited are not being employed to draw salary but to deliver a service to the pupils in places they will be placed. And the minister says the recruitment of the 30,000 teachers will have to wait for another 3 months in order to allow the new teaching service commissioners to settle and commence advertising. Meanwhile, the Secondary Schools Teachers Union of Zambia has advised the government to extend the period for the closure of schools, considering that the reopening date has been postponed.
Patience is what the over 50,000 unemployed teachers in the country have learned to exercise in the past years. While the government has announced that it will recruit 30,000 teachers, many teachers are so expectant, hoping to get a salary for their survival. However, Minister of Education Douglas Yakalima has warned the unemployed teachers not to focus on drawing a salary but offer a service once they are recruited.
There's a child there who requires to be in school. For them to be in school, quality education starts with a teacher being in school. So we are getting these teachers not as employment per se. And this is where I want Zambians to start changing their attitude and their thinking. What now the Western world are calling emotional thinking, emotional intelligence. That you are not being gotten in order for you to get a salary. Me, all I want is somebody must learn. And somebody must learn because there's a teacher. So this is not employment. This is fitting new teachers in places where we are supposed to be.
And speaking at the same meeting, Mr. Siakanima has announced that government has postponed the date for the reopening of schools from 10th January 2022 to 24th January 2022. The move is aimed at allowing school management to fumigate the premises and allow more pupils and teachers to get vaccinated. But the Secondary School Teachers Union of Zambia, SESTUS, is not happy with the decision as it will compromise the school calendar. SESTUS Secretary General Sitibeki Sowamuyua has since appealed to the government to also consider extending the closing period in order to balance the school calendar.
So yes, we can delay, but this delay must be compensated by another delay when it comes to opening, because we expect 2022 to have a smooth school calendar. I know we have challenges to do with the COVID, and we know that this is not the first time we are experiencing COVID-19 or COVID whatever in this country. We have had this for about 2.5 years now. It was first reported in March 2020, and we are going into 2022.
Other unions, such as the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPES, have welcomed the move, saying it will help give a breathing space for parents who were not yet prepared for the reopening of schools.
It gives our parents, or ourselves as parents, so to say, a relief. You realize that we are just coming from festivity, and believe you me, there are very few parents, speaking as I am, who are ready to procure these books, to procure these learning materials and so on and so forth, to pay for these boarding fees. Remember, there is a certain amount that we are supposed to pay for those of us that have children and in boarding schools. And so we welcome the extension of the reopening of schools, like I earlier said.
And the minister has officially declared 100% progression into grade 8 of all the 47,950 candidates who sat for the grade 7 examinations in 2021. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACASE, says the union will soon stage a nationwide demonstration over the 100% progression of grade 7 pupils to grade 8 in 2022. NACASE Media and Advocacy Director Peter Kalenga says formalities with the police are still being processed, adding that once completed, the protest will go on. Mr. Chanza has since appealed to his members and other champions of quality education to hold their fire over the planned protests. He says the union has never accepted the 100% progression as it compromises the quality of education and kills the education system. Minister of Education has officially declared 100% progression into grade 8 of all the candidates who sat for the grade 7 examination in 2021.
We are appealing to all our members countrywide and all our other champions of quality education in Zambia to hold their fire over the planned demonstrations against the 100% progression of grade 7s to grade 8 this year. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow countrymen, you remember last year we issued a statement that as an organization, NACES will not accept automatic progression of all the grade 7 that are going to sit for exams into grade 8 in 2022. We have not changed our position. We are against the progression of grade 7s to 8s because it has killed our education system. It is very wrong, to say the least. It is academically suicidal. It's a scandal. We can't proceed that way as a nation.
A third-year student at the University of Zambia, Rodwell Chileshe, 23, is one of the 6 who drowned on Lake Kariba on Saturday, January 1st, 2022. While visiting the funeral house, University of Zambia Student Union and area civic leaders have sent their condolences and sympathy to the Seventh-day Adventist Church Lusaka Conference and the bereaved families. The family has since described Rodwell Chileshe as an heir to the family, and his demise leaves a huge gap.
A somber mood has characterized the funeral house of the late University of Zambia student. Rodwell Chileshe, 25, was one of the 6 victims of the Siavonga drown tragedy on January 1st, 2021. Representing the family, an uncle to the deceased has described Chileshe as a hero, leaving a huge gap in the family.
He was the promise in our family that he can lift our family. Now we have lost him. I don't have much to say, but we have lost him. He was at school, at university, and he was an encourager. He didn't have that heart of segregation. He was visiting everybody, and he was cheerful to everybody.
This remains a shock to Chileshe's immediate brother, who witnessed the incidents in Siavonga but told this journalist he cannot narrate at the moment. And Unza Student Union, who visited the funeral house in John Leng, have regretted the development, saying it is a loss to the student populace.
The university student populace is saddened by this person, untimely person, and therefore we are grieved, and we've come to mourn with the family.
For students, we bring our deepest condolences to the family of our student Chileshe, and we regret the passing on. It's untimely.
Meanwhile, as he led the team of civic leaders to the funeral house, Kanyama constituency member of parliament, Honorable Chinkuli Moti, says the death of the 6 youths has deprived government and the church leaders who would have steered the spiritual life of the church and the nation at large.
With the prayers, they'll be strong. With the prayers, they'll be able to mourn the beloved child and finally put the body to rest. Sometimes na bachabi uta za nibambi vilobili monso atipite omonse tibaposheko bingi mufyashi omakanyama
but future ko iri kuntansha and church ne future ko iri kuntansha pantu wali mwaka wakupwisha school abafyashi monse bali bikire mu mutima ko bati mwana oyu akapwisha na ifo ku church wali muno kwati eye ma leaders besawo twala kwata imyaka iresa kuntansha lesa na yatsumini kwata bana bakwata okutusha.
Meanwhile, Rodwell Chileshe will be put to rest on Wednesday, 5th January 2021 at Mutumbi Cemetery, Lusaka. The deceased remains are currently at University Teaching Hospital mortuary awaiting burial. May their souls rest in peace. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Some farmers in Eastern and Wapula province have been agitated by the government's slight delay to pay dues effective 3rd January as assured by the Minister of Agriculture, Ruben Mtolo. Some government officials had a tough time persuading farmers over the delays to access their money. But when reached for a comment, Minister of Agriculture Ruben Mtolo tells Camnet TV News that the ministry has already transferred the money to the Food Reserve Agency FRA and that some farmers will start receiving their money as earlier communicated. The FRA has procured 947,777 metric tons of white maize, 121 metric tons of soybeans, and 556 metric tons of paddy rice during the 2021 agricultural marketing season.
Every year, farmers are supported under the Farmers Import Support Program, FISIP, by the government. But sadly, annually, farmers have to frequent government offices to demand payment because the payday is never on time. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has up-to-date paid over 1.2 billion kwacha to farmers, while it owes farmers 1.6 billion kwacha for the maize they supplied. Agriculture Minister Ruben Mutolo had earlier assured that payment to farmers who supplied maize to FRA will recommence on January 3rd, 2022.
The government, via the Food Reserve Agency, will commence payment to farmers who supplied maize to the agency, the Food Reserve Agency, beginning Monday, the 3rd of January, 2022.
And 3rd January seems to have come earlier than anticipated, as it was tense in Wapula province as farmers stormed the provincial administration demanding payment.
Imwe muli abakalamba na ifwe tuli abakalamba tatuli abayi icho napa pako chakwe bati imwe muli ma ministers nomba obufi wakira imwe mwa iminine paredio muletweba pa 3 process ni shakta shani yatendeke yabafama nomba kaimwe balanda kaidele tuise tufite pano mwini omuntu kayaye kwisa kulusaka bufi bwashani depusheko emukwa ina ndinde fukulunda pali abezi icho ndei pusha tili abala ndili atipatili nishani kuma office yenu ba minister filita ila atika
pakusanga solution kubwa afya bwenu inshira iliko ni mofe twala bompya tekutira imwenga mwakalipa sana mwashupa sana mwachiteta ninshero process ile chinja tefyo icho twachita chaku chefye inshiku filefyo bachiraye batu mulole liwo mulungupwe muri amuna nkwe inenga minister wenu muri aprofyo ndekana. You can't be waiting na muchula sana na mulorela bambita mulashita lefya kuyabika mabala pakuna kai tukasoma.
The situation is the same in Eastern Province, Chipata district, as farmers felt cheated by the government.
Serious, nakuti kunali hiyo swala ndira salary tunaweka bwana. Ndio swala ndira ni 5 minutes kabisa. Sema za bwana. Mavuto
za utamofesumu ma process ya mweaja ndiye atichedwesa komandalama by tomorrow morning nishiza hitting ama account zika hitting ama account mairo mfuni kwa yambo pasi wa ndalama zana membo ya meneti membo ya
meneti madamwe
nika pana mfuna kutileka iba makwera kule kutika chandi sile tashtoneka vose pa meneti chita isa sindi setuna ndalama wana ndalama na Minister of Agriculture koma mwaku tandizira kutawa mafarmers wavutika tingo tuma mafoni na kwera pano polo kutandizira nazimai nazipambo kuti timbele mwamene tingatandizirane ndalama zilobe tose tufuna olipira ma school fees yabana sisote tose tufuna olipira kuti tiguleko fertilizer bena bali mwamupena fertilizer.
However, through a telephone interview, Agriculture Minister Ruben Mutolo explains that the money has been sent from the Minister of Agriculture to FRA and that payments were on course.
Right now, the money has moved from Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Agriculture is about to remit it out to the Ministry of, to the Food Reserve Agency. I'm still hoping that today a few farmers could get paid, though time doesn't seem to be with us. But the most important is that money has moved, and whichever way, if we fail to pay even one farmer today, by tomorrow the farmers will get paid.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
A Lusaka-based economist, Yusuf Dodia, says the looming hike in electricity tariffs, coupled with the increase in the fuel pump price, will undermine the growth of the Zambian economy in 2022. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Mr. Dodia says transport is a huge cost on any business, including those that do not add value to the growth of the economy. Mr. Dodia says once the cost of production goes up, the goods become uncompetitive to those coming from other countries whose cost of production is slightly lower. He says the growth of any economy depends on the cost-effective production.
When it comes to manufacturing, and therefore the cost of manufacturing goes up, and when it goes up we become uncompetitive with products coming in from the Far East and even products coming from the neighboring countries like Tanzania or Zimbabwe. So fuel prices in very many ways undermines the growth of the economy. We have this looming increase of 13% of electricity tariffs, which is going to take place in the first quarter of 2022. Again, that is going to undermine economic development because the economy depends on cost-effective production, efficient production. And where we benchmark ourselves with our neighbors, and our neighbors are getting a better deal in terms of production, it means that our products in Zambia will not be able to become competitive. We've seen signs of this earlier in the year. If you remember, there was a time when potatoes were banned from being imported into Zambia. Onions were also banned, and we saw the price of local potatoes and onions shoot up from 70 kwacha per pocket of potatoes to 150 kwacha. We saw onions from 100 kwacha going to 250. So the cost of production in Zambia clearly is not efficient. You find that the cost of potatoes and onions drops when we start to import from Zimbabwe, we start to import from Tanzania, where they are producing much cheaper than we are producing in Zambia. So these are the things that I think we need to look at going forward.
In other news, the Chipata City Council says it will with immediate effect suspend all its revenue collecting officers following financial irregularities disclosed in the 2019-2020 Auditor General's report. Chipata City Mayor George Mwanza says all receipt books issued by the revenue collecting officers have been suspended with immediate effect. Addressing the media Monday, Mr. Mwanza says the local authority will report the financial irregularities to the security agencies for investigations to be instituted so that the erring officers can be brought to book. The Auditor General's report has revealed that irregularities in the management of public resources has continued at Chipata City Council. The recently released Auditor General's report for 2019-2020, the local authority misused 500,000 kwacha equalization fund meant for capital projects on operational expenses out of the 3,325,792 kwacha. The Chipata City Council has also been cited for using 101 receipt books that were duplicated and were found to have had the same serial number ranges. It has also been disclosed that during the audit, Chipata City Council failed to hand over the 12 receipt books issued during the period under review.
Officers that were charged with the responsibility to collect resources, these are revenue collectors, and other officers will be suspended, and that the council will report the matter immediately to investigative wings and security wings to carry out an investigation of all these officers and processes that were part and parcel of the irregularities that were reviewed in the Auditor's General report. For official total numbers of receipt books were issued, but they decided to issue 101 more duplicate receipt books. We don't know to what extent resources were collected from our people issued with these fake receipt books. Therefore, we've effected a cancellation of all these receipt books. Office of the Town Clerk will issue an official cancellation notice immediately to make sure that the old receipt books are cancelled, and will print new one, just to promote transparency and accountability and put a stop to this criminality.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. For now, we'll take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
It's your time to get to groove and step back to school in 2022 in magnificent style. Hurry to your nearest Bata store anywhere in Zambia and get a free Sparrow notebook for every pair of Bata school shoes you purchase. Promotion runs until the 31st of January 2022. Hurry while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a young talented football player? Unlock your international future potential of greatness in soccer. Zambia's greatest soccer talent that the world has been waiting for is about to be revealed. Join young and gifted football players through Camnet Soccer Academy. There will be trials and selection of potential players. Trials to be conducted on 8th January 2022. Camnet Soccer Academy is looking for 2 categories, namely under 16 and under 18. Don't miss this opportunity of a lifetime. Time 08 hours to 16 hours. Venue Kablonga Boys Secondary School. Parents, bring and support your children.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. The Constitutional Court has dismissed the application of stay of execution that was filed by 9 opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament who were chased from the National Assembly by the Speaker following the nullification of their election. Kabushi Member of Parliament Boman Lusambo and 8 others were seeking an order for the court stay the decision that was made by the Speaker pending determination of the full matter. However, in delivering her ruling this afternoon, Judge Judy Mulongoti dismissed the said application and referred the preliminary issue raised by the state to a full bench.
The application for stay of execution that was recently filed by the 9 opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament who were recently chased by the Speaker of the National Assembly following the nullification of their elections has been dismissed by the Constitutional Court. Expelled Kavushi Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo, Nakonde Member of Parliament Lucas Simumba, and Lute Member of Parliament Mutotwe Kafwaya, among others, earlier made an application before the Constitutional Court seeking a stay of execution against the decision by the Speaker Nelly Muti pending determination of the matter, where they have challenged the constitutionality of her decision. Earlier, the state submitted that the 9 PF members of Parliament should be left to fight the main matter and get the relief they seek if and when they succeed, as opposed to get the relief they seek by way under the cloak of a stay. In this matter, the 9 expelled PF members of Parliament are challenging the decision by the Speaker to disallow them from attending any parliamentary business pending determination of their appeals, stating that her decision is illegal, now and void, and unconstitutional.
It has dismissed the application by Mr. Mutotokwe and his colleagues for stay on the basis that the state has raised a preliminary issue on the competence of the main matter. So the court cannot delve into an issue to do with the competence of the main matter. It's an issue for the full court. By necessary implication, the court has said it can't entertain the application for stay because, again, the stay will require the court to make decisions on the main matter. And the court, as a single judge, cannot do that. So the court has essentially dismissed the application for stay of the decision of the Speaker of National Assembly.
This means that for now, the 9 PF members of Parliament will have to stay away from any parliamentary business until the preliminary issue raised by the state and the main matter is heard.
I'd like to inform the nation through you that we have hit a very temporary snag. As you can imagine, the wheels of justice sometimes don't run as quickly as you want them to run. And today our team of lawyers were confronted by a preliminary issue that was raised by the state. And the learned judge decided that the matter will be escalated to the full bench of the Concord. We haven't got a date yet. All we can say is we are patient. We would like to appeal to first the 9 members of Parliament, second to all the parliamentarians on the PF ticket, to appeal also to all our members, and to appeal to citizens at large to exercise patience in the matter. I have confidence that the Concord will bring this matter to a close as expeditiously as possible.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Wife to former UPND Chilanga Member of Parliament Keith Mukata has submitted before the Lusaka High Court that her husband must be checked at Chinama Psychiatric Hospital because his actions after his release is questionable. This is in a case where Mariko Roisin Mukata has petitioned for divorce before the High Court, asking it to dissolve her marriage to Mr. Mukata on grounds that it broke down irretrievably, among other reasons. She also wants the court to grant her full custody of their 4 children. In an affidavit in opposition in support of ex parte summons for a protection order, Mariko Roisin Mukata states that she is the only person who can offer safety custody of their 4 children and not her husband. She says the safety of these children is at risk if they stay with their father. Ministry of Health says the country risks failing to admit all COVID patients if the situation is not controlled. Speaking to the media, Minister in charge of Health, Sylvia Masebo, says the Omicron variant is quickly spreading, hence appealing to the members of the public to follow the COVID-19 regulations. And Director for Infectious Diseases, Lloyd Mlenga, says the country has so far vaccinated 1,418 children countrywide. Meanwhile, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia Acting Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda says the move by government to vaccinate children is welcome, adding that no one should be forced.
During the 3rd wave and on the 2nd of April 2021, the Zambian government started winding down some COVID-19 isolation facilities following a reduction in the number of COVID-19 cases. At that time, the government had seen a marked reduction in daily cases, with the numbers of cases requiring admissions. Currently, in the 4th wave, over 1,244,380,000 have been vaccinated since the outbreak. Ministry of Health says if COVID-19 continues to increase in the country, they will not have enough space in the isolation centers.
As a country, we are managing in terms of isolating people in the hospitals, and some of them are at home. But if the situation gets out of hand, we will not have the capacity. And that's why we are pressurizing on vaccination. It is to ensure that more people get protected. That's why we are emphasizing on the 5 golden rules. It is to help us to control the spread of this disease.
And Director, Infectious Diseases, says Ministry of Health has so far vaccinated 1,418 children.
Treating in Lusaka, where we have the Pfizer but also Copperbelt. So far we have 1,418 children vaccinated. This is in about 6 days. It is okay. As we open up schools, we hope that we'll be able to have more children vaccinated. We try to work out, of course, issues of consent.
Meanwhile, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia Acting Executive Director has welcomed the move by government to vaccinate children.
The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia dwells both on scientific proof and the Bible, but the Bible is the overall authority of all that we believe in. I want you to understand that. However, when they say now they said vaccine 8 to 12 up to 18 years of age, I think it's welcome, because we have talked with the scientists of the day and they have told us that it is now safe for the children. Because now we have had, if you have taken note, we have had children dying of COVID-19. We need our children to be protected.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo says the ministry will commence the procurement of equipment for the Cancer Disease Hospital. Ms. Masebo disclosed that the 2022 budget allocation to the ministry is going to be effectively put to good use. The minister asked that government will employ health workers and that the recruitment advert will run this month.
Going to do is towards buying more drugs, buying equipment, employing health workers. So this is something that we are doing almost immediately. If it was the case of going into a shop at Manda Hill or in town, maybe from here I should have gone with you to go and get it. But there are processes. We have to advertise. Yeah? So that's what we are going to be doing in this month of January, not next month. The process of implementation, most of our key interventions in improving our healthcare will start this January itself.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
For over 24 years now, we have constantly been working to ensure that we deliver products and services to communities, cities, nations, the continent, and the world at large, offering solutions in the energy sector, mining, telecommunications, health, transport, construction, cybersecurity, agriculture, and printing. Savenda has been at the core of it all in ensuring that it helps in bringing social and economic development to its loving people. We value your support, and as we look forward to the year ahead, would like to thank you for the support you have given us. The Savenda Group of Companies board, management and staff would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2022. Savenda, Save Nations, Develop Africa.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
She has so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Hi there! SGK Properties wants to remind you that there will be life after the festivities. That's why we are here right now presenting you an opportunity to invest in what will literally last you a lifetime. We have various plot sizes in Kabangwe area, just 6.7 kilometers from 6 miles roundabout. Plot sizes range from 20 by 20s, 25 by 20s, 30 by 20s, 35 by 20s, 40
40 by 20s, 40 by 23s, and 40 by 35s. We also have 1-acre plots located in Lusaka West, 22 kilometers from Lumumba Road on Mongwe Road, going for 180,000 kwacha. Remember, the option to have your dream house or passive income investment property constructed for you with modern finishes and quality care is also available. For more details on acquiring these pieces, contact us on 0762 166018 or scan the QR code you see on the screen to access us on WhatsApp directly. SGK Group, serving generations through knowledge.
Welcome back. Getting into international news. The transitional government in Mali says elections scheduled for next month need to be postponed by up to 5 years. Opposition leaders say the decision by the transitional government is unacceptable. West Africa's regional alliance ECOWAS is expected to discuss the situation next week. ECOWAS has already promised more sanctions on Malian officials if there are more delays to the democratic transitions. In other news, Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok has resigned amid political deadlock and widespread protest following a military coup that derailed the country's fragile transition to democracy. Hamdok's decision, announced in a televised address late on Sunday, comes 6 weeks after he returned to his post in a deal with the coup leaders he argued could save Sudan's political transition. But the pro-democracy movement rejected that agreement, and Hamdok failed to name a new government as thousands of people continue to protest against the military's power grab. Here's a roundup of international news.
In downtown Bamako, Malians are absorbing the news the elections they were promised next month aren't going to happen and may not for up to 5 years. Opposition leaders say the decision by the transitional government is unacceptable.
Holding meetings to say they want to be in power for 5 years. I think this is anti-constitutional, anti-democratic, and it hasn't got any legitimacy.
When junta leader Colonel Assimi Goïta was sworn in last July following 2 military coups in less than a year, he sought to unite Malians and said presidential elections would be held. But on Thursday, a conference charged with recommending an election timetable said the polls should be delayed by between 6 months and 5 years. Goïta's supporters agree now is not the time for elections.
Post-electoral crises are more dangerous than the situation we're in today because we've seen genocides, we've seen bloodbaths across the world. Today, I think we need calm to reassure the population here and elsewhere. The international community must understand that the lesser evil today is addressing the concerns of Malians.
Despite criticism of the interim government, analysts say it has managed to bring some stability to Mali.
The government in Bamako is to a large extent a step ahead of everyone. You just have to look at how they've been able to change the reality on the ground in a very incremental but very steady basis.
The West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, is expected to discuss the situation next week. It's already imposed sanctions on officials and has promised more if Mali's leaders don't produce a plan for a democratic transition.
2 weeks after the news of his intention to resign emerged, and amidst a deadlock between Sudan's political parties, Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok announced he was stepping down from his position.
Despite my efforts to achieve the necessary consensus to be able to deliver to our people the promise of peace, justice and no bloodshed, that did not happen. During the past few days, I met with all the civilian and military officials of the Transitional Council to explain and put the patriotic and historic responsibility in front of them. Following what I stated, I have decided to return to you what you entrusted me with, and I announced my resignation from the post of Prime Minister.
Abdullah Hamdok emerged as leader in 2019 after the overthrow of Sudan's authoritarian President Omar al-Bashir. The country's main civilian coalition, the Forces of Freedom and Change, saw Hamdok as the man to help Sudan transition from dictatorship to democracy. He had previously worked in the Ministry of Finance before taking up top jobs in the African Development Fund and serving as the Deputy Commissioner of the UN Economic Commission for Africa. As Prime Minister, Hamdok oversaw a severe financial crisis, during which inflation soared beyond 400%. But he still managed to end the civil conflict in various parts of the country with the Juba Peace Agreement of October 2020. He also successfully lobbied the US and the World Bank to remove Sudan from the list of sponsors of terrorism and convince global financial institutions to provide debt relief and economic aid. But in October this year, the military, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, staged a takeover, placing Prime Minister Hamdok under house arrest and putting members of his cabinet in prison. A month later, Hamdok was released and reinstated after international condemnation of the coup. He then signed a deal to form a government of technocrats, sidelining political groups, but many Sudanese felt he had betrayed the revolution.
His removal, as far as they're concerned, removes the last fig leaf that was covering this regime, and what remains is a full-fledged military dictatorship. So I think the international community will likely increase its pressure on the military regime with the hope of heeding the demands of the Sudanese streets and installing a full civilian rule.
Demonstrations against the military and the deal Hamdok signed with them have led to the killings of dozens of protesters by police and security forces. Hamdok has been unable to stop the violence or install a government that would remove military interference. And now it seems he is left with no choice but to concede defeat and resign. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
We now get into our sports item. The Beijing Winter Olympics began 1 month on Tuesday with diplomatic boycotts, the coronavirus and the fate of Peng Shuai all hanging heavy over the Games. The Chinese capital on February 4th to 20th will become the first host of a Winter and Summer Olympics, having staged the Games in 2008, seen then as a coming out party for what has since become the world's second largest economy. This time, China's communist ruler hopes the Games will inspire 300 million winter sports enthusiasts and help unite the world in the face of the pandemic. With the game taking place inside the Babu-Kakuning, the nearly 3,000 athletes together with non-competitors, it looks being the most restricted mass sporting event since COVID-19. Organizers have pledged to make the game green, inclusive, open and clean, but environmentalists question that claims and smog remains a frequent hazard in China, especially in winter. Hinting at the conditions which have surrounded the Games, Foreign Minister Wang Yi told state media, the political manipulation of the few Western politicians will not damage the excitement of the Olympics but will only expose their own ugliness. Rights groups have long called for a boycott over China's human rights record, especially its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in the northwest region of Xinjiang. Last month, the Biden administration said it would send U.S. diplomats or officials representation to the Games over China's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang and other human rights abuses. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Constitutional Court dismiss application of stay of execution by 8 PF exiled MPs. Government cautions unemployed teachers to stop salivating for salaries. Fuel and electricity tariffs increment to undermine Zambia's economic growth. And in international news, Mali opposition rejects calls for election delay. And in sports, Winter Olympics marred with boycotts, COVID-19 as countdown begins. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of Philippians 4 verse 6 to 7, and it reads, Don't worry about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses every thought, will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.